Hello, my little Luxes. This is another little channel of horrors. I'm your host, Tracy Lux, and with me is my bestie for resty, best friend, partner in crime.
Yeah, I'm DC.
He never likes to introduce
I
himself.
was trying to get my jaw ready for this, and I was saying the assailant had oddly shaped feet. Yeah, no one knows what I'm talking about.
Hey, you know what? Comment below if you know what he's referencing to. We'll give you bonus points.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. There is one person that will definitely know, and he will quote the rest of it, and that is Laszlo, because me and him do that all the time. Well, yeah, we will, but it's getting closer to Halloween. So
I was gonna say, I am excited for Halloween. I was able to go out and buy a whole bunch of like different random Halloween items on discount already too, even though Halloween's still like a month and a half away. But
I may have found like my costume, and for once it's not something that's like everyone's gonna be or anything like that. It's just something, a mask I found, and I'm like, I'm going to wear that and I'm going to wear this, and that's what's going to happen. I mean, and then she's going to be a pirate and like a sexy kind of thing, and then we're going to go to a wrestling show dressed as what we are, and I'm going to have to deal with all the dudes like, whoa.
on your lady.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be awful. I'm hoping Laszlo goes with us, and
I
Adrian
was
for that
gonna
matter.
say you said he wasn't decided if he was or not.
Well,
So
the other day he said he wanted to. He was like, "Hey, can I go?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, just get your ticket and let's go." I'm like, "Come on, man, you don't have to ask." I'm like, "Got to get out there," because I mean, I've got another wrestling show coming up in like a month, and I guarantee you, no one's going with me to that one. So that one's in the county over. So
okay.
yeah.
And that's before the Halloween one, or
2 weeks before, and I'm hoping Adrian goes, considering I've already bought his ticket.
you should. You
Yeah,
should.
all right, but
If not, kidnap him. Just
yeah,
throw him in the car and just
I,
go.
I might be able to. Like, I got a pretty big car, so it's all right. All right, but I don't know like exactly what we were talking. I mean, I kind of know what we're talking
Well,
about.
do we really have themes anymore? Because we're not really doing the movie reviews. I mean,
Oh,
we should just ask, comment below, like, do you guys miss the movie reviews? Would you like us to do those more often? Are you enjoying the horror chats that we're doing? Or in our case, like tonight, it's just gonna be a little bit of maybe semi-horror chats, because
yeah.
this one's theme's kind of talking about graveyard stories and vacations and travel stories, and if they
Yeah.
possibly have nightmare stories involved with them.
Who knows, man? Like, we'll just go all over the place because I don't have like spooky stories. And what's really sucky about me not having spooky stories is like all my vacations, I have literally went on a ghost hunt in every single one of them. I go to graveyards on almost all of them, and it's like nothing spooky ever happens. It's just a like I learned cool stuff. Like, I mean, and one of the last times me and Michaela went to the beach, we went there as soon as a hurricane hit, so we got to experience a hurricane. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, not the last time. The last time that was just rain. Like, it was
I
just
was
a
gonna say, I'm like, not in the
yeah.
most recent one.
No, that was like a torrential downpour we got caught in, and it was like tropical rain. And but the time we went to Virginia Beach before that, we got hit by a hurricane. Hurricane Dorian is when it got hit, or what hit it, and it was, I think when it hit us, it was only a Cat 1. So, but yeah, we were down there, and we had our little our room and everything. Everything was great, and the hurricane hit, and it was windy and rainy and crazy, and we were the only people in that hotel. Everyone else abandoned and left. And it was like the hotel was just like, "Oh, thank you guys for staying. It's really cool, you know. You didn't have to stay." And we were like, "Yeah, man, we were having a blast. This was a lot of fun." And it
Something
was,
different.
yeah, it was something awesome. And like it was crazy because the surf was up to the hotel and the waves were coming in and like hitting the hotel, and it was like and then then the next day when it dissipated, the ocean went back out, and it was like there was like so much sand, just it was just a beach. There was no water. And it was and there were like windows shattered out all over the place, and it was nuts. But the hotel was like, oh, that's really cool. Did y'all stay here? Have if you can, you think you could stay for 3 more days? And we're like, yeah, we got to stay 3 more days for free. So yeah, that was a 6 day or 7 day, yeah, 7 day vacation that ended up being a 10 day vacation. It was,
Nice.
yeah, that was
Nice.
a lot of fun. I loved it. We did a tour on that one. At one point, like after the oh wait, oh, there's a cool one after the hurricane. Everything was closed. We couldn't do anything. It was like we usually went to the arcade or something like that. We were just going to have fun, but everything's closed except for a movie theater. And the only thing showing, there was one movie showing, and it was It Chapter One. And we ended up going to see It Chapter One. So that was kind of cool. Like I got to see a horror movie on vacation. So, yeah,
I was gonna say that dates it exactly when that happened. So
yeah, it was nuts.
I gave you like free nights to stay because I mean, not telling people, hey, if you stick around at the hotel for a hurricane, maybe you'll get a free night.
Oh no, this was a really cheap hotel. Like this wasn't like a high end hotel. It was like you can look it up. It's called the Schooner Inn at in
Schooner.
Schooner Inn in Virginia Beach. It's like it was a great hotel. It was old kind of, and it was not exactly like high end, but I mean it was a good hotel. We liked it. It was fun. It had big old beds, and I think it even had a hot tub in the room. It was crazy. I think did that have a hot tub in the room? I don't remember. I don't remember.
Like,
Yeah, it did. It did. It had a hot tub in the room because the hot tub was facing the window, so you could sit in the hot tub and look at the beach. So
oh, well, that's cool then.
yeah, it was
I
cool.
would, that's not so bad then. That doesn't sound so cheap.
No, it was really cool. I mean, well, the hot tub was like shaped in a heart, so it's like it's kind of cheesy.
Kind of cheesy.
Yeah, but it was awesome. Like that was, I don't know, we had been dating for I don't know, like 2 or 3 years when we went there, and it's like, all right, we're gonna go do our
Oh,
thing.
look, a hurricane.
Yeah,
Yay.
it's,
At
it's
least it was just, a teeny kind of not so disastrous hurricane.
yeah, like, and I mean, it's better than Myrtle Beach. Like we went to Myrtle Beach, our first ever beach trip, and that was just the worst. I don't know. I apologize if anyone watching is from Myrtle Beach or anything like that, but that place is a fucking shithole now. Like it used to be so nice. North Myrtle Beach used to be ritzy, and now it's disgusting. Like there's trash everywhere, and it's just no.
Gone down the hill,
Yeah,
basically.
there's way more that I can't get into, but it was. I mean, I used to go to Myrtle Beach all the time with my bros, and like we went there during Black Bike Week, and it was just a bunch of black people on super bikes, and they were awesome. Like it was awesome times. But now it's gross down there. The only thing we did do a timeshare thing, and that's one thing if I recommend. If any of you have never done a timeshare meeting at the beach, do it because you get so much free shit. It's like we will go there, like we're not going to get a timeshare, but and if you talk to them, they're like, "How about we give you 2 tickets to this theme park, $500 and a free meal at this restaurant?" And it's like, cool, it sounds great. Sometimes, like on that trip, we got on the Virginia Beach trip, we got a free 5 day stay in a luxury hotel. And it was
I
like
talked you into it.
yes, dude, that was it. We decided we're not going to go to the beach though. We're going to go to Colonial Williamsburg, Virginia. And we did. It was great. It was like this is fun times, man.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it was cool. And like and the we were expecting when we got the free 5-night stay, it was like, oh, it's going to be a cheap ass hotel and it's going to be horrible. No, this was a fucking condo. Like it had like rooms and a fancy TV and the whole thing was super fancy. And we were like, what the fuck did we do? And we didn't get a timeshare. We didn't spend any money. It was just here.
But they still gave it to you.
Yeah, have some free shit. And I'm like, so anytime you go to the beach, I highly recommend doing timeshare meetings. It takes like 2 hours, but you get so much free shit. And I'm all about free shit. So yes.
Yeah, if you get roped up in the timeshare, that's not so cheap.
No, literally, we sat down. They're like, oh, what about this timeshare? No. Okay, bye. And we walked out. I want our free shit. And they're like, here's your vouchers. And I was like, thank you. See you. You know, it's like, actually with me, it's easy because my credit's garbage. And that's a long story. My credit's garbage. And as soon as they run my credit, they're like, oh, you can't do this. And I'm like, oh, too bad. See ya.
Oh, damn.
Like, yeah, so good. I know. I'm mean.
I should remember that. I'll find somebody who has bad credit, take them with me, and then we'll go through the whole shebang.
Perfect. Well, the problem with the last time we went is Michaela's credit is phenomenal. And they offered her like the platinum package. They were like, oh yeah, you can do this. You just get this platinum package and you get like 7-day stays four times a year at any of these 120 locations. You can get your own cabin in Gatlinburg. You can get your own beach house in Virginia. And like they almost had Michaela. I'm like kicking her under the table. I'm like, no, you don't want a fucking timeshare. Trust me, it's horrible. And her parents actually do it. Her parents do have like a timeshare type thing, and they hate it. So it's like,
I was gonna say she should have example firsthand then about timeshares.
Yeah, it's good shit. That's not. I mean, that's scary right there. Those are scary timeshares. That's
there's your scary.
That's it. That's what I'm talking about. But like, and that's what I'm saying, man. Take DT's advice. Say do it.
Don't do a timeshare. Don't do it.
Do it. Do it.
Wait, trying to remember because my good friend Kayla, her family, I wonder if her parents still do their timeshare because I remember they could only go down twice a year. And the one time point that they had for the timeshare was always the first week of school. So she always missed the first week of school because they were down in Florida at their timeshare. So I can always remember it, but it's like, I'm wondering if her parents still have that timeshare. And I'm wondering if they had the same nightmare stories, although her parents aren't the brightest. So I don't know.
Her parents, Michaela's parents don't really have nightmare stories. It's just like, and they like what they do. And it's like, they get these points and they can spend them on hotel stays. And that's how they actually did vacations with the kids for years. So it's like, it works out for them. The thing is, they have money. And yeah, like if you have that expendable income like that, then yeah, timeshare might be a good idea. But what's
expendable income? What's that?
Yeah, exactly. I'm in the same boat. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck expendable income is. I'm like, I mean, people see on Twitter and stuff. I go on like vacations and I get Legos and stuff like that out of nowhere.
Budget to go to it, and it's not expensive.
Yeah, we budget like crazy, and we save up for everything we do. It's like if we're going to a massive concert, you bet your ass we saved for at least a year for that. Like we set aside money for everything. It's like, hey, we might want to go on vacation, so let's set money aside to go on vacation.
Yes.
And that's what we do. Like it's because this is why all of my paychecks go into her bank account, because she's fucking great with money. I'm terrible with it, clearly. And I'm like, I like that Lego set. How much is it? 500. I can do that. I'm like, no, I can't. Now I have her, and I'm like, this Lego set is great. It's only $500. Are you fucking insane? No, I will get you that $100 one. I'm like, okay.
You will enjoy the $100 one. God damn it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, yeah, dude. I mean, after this show, I'll show you what I got for my birthday. It's fucking ridiculous. I got a stack like from the table. Well, let me do this. Like from here and it goes way up here. Like it's at least, let's see, it comes up to about my right below my hip, just all the board games I got. And I'm 6 foot tall.
Have you showed it off to our boy Jackie yet? I mean, because you both love it so much.
Oh no, these aren't Legos. These are just board games.
Like, oh, those are just the board games.
Yes.
Did you get any
Legos? One Lego set that isn't here yet. So yeah, it's been.
Well, you've got to show Jackie when it comes.
Yeah, heck yeah. This one's a simple one. It got back ordered, so I was like, nah, but it's okay. And I did find one that I wanted. There's a Lego set that's a typewriter that works. I'm like, I want that.
That's cool.
It's like $200. I'm like, and it types and it makes the sound, and the ribbon goes, then you have to slide it back and then type, and then you have to slide it back. I'm like, I want that. It's so cool. And I want the Spider-Man Daily Bugle set, and I'm like, that's like $300.
That was not cheap.
Yeah, like God damn it, that's like 4,000 pieces, the Daily Bugle set, because the building comes up, it's like 3 or 4 foot tall. I'm like, I want it. It's like,
do they ever give extra pieces just in case, or
okay? I always every bag has some extra pieces in it, and it's never the big bricks. It's the small little bitty pieces that you'll lose. Like whenever you open up a leg set, it has one bag that has a 1 on it, another bag that has a 2 on it, another bag that has a 3. That way you know what step 1, 2, and 3 is. And you open for step 1, you open bag 1, spread it out, do your thing, and then you open bag 2. And bags 1, 2, and 3 will always have extra little bitty pieces in there. That way, like it only needs 1 little red dot, but they'll give you 3. Like,
because they know.
Yeah.
They know.
They know. Yeah. And every one of them comes with that tool. A little orange tool, the pry tool. Very cool. Very neat. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't have any horror stories about Legos. I love Legos.
I was gonna say the only horror stories I have about Legos would be, when you step on the thing and it hurts like hell.
Oh yeah.
No bad stories about Legos though, unless I include fighting over them with my brother, because
they do that.
He'd have a certain piece I wanted, or vice versa. But I don't know.
I don't know. My sister and me were my sister and I were 5 years apart, so it's like we didn't really fight a whole lot because we kind of avoided each other. Yeah,
that's a huge gap.
Yeah, we hated each other pretty much like in the teen years. And then we became really good friends later. So it was like, yeah, she's, that's fine. My brother, fun fact about my brother, I've spent more time with probably like Laszlo than I have my brother in my entire life. Because my brother is 10 years ahead of me. And when he turned 18, he joined the Air Force. And so he was gone, and he never lived with us because we were actually twin brothers with different mothers. And he always lived with his mom. So it was like, we didn't see each other a whole lot. And even now I see him maybe once a year. It's been 3 years since I've seen him because he's in San Antonio, and the COVID is just, it sucks. So it's like, I haven't seen my brother in a while. The man has 6 kids, so he's kind of busy.
You got a lot of nieces and nephews out there, so
I do. I have 2 from my sister and 6 from my brother. So I was gonna say stories about that either.
I would hope not. No. There's family horror stories. There's always family horror stories.
That's what I mean. Like my niece and my nephew, Chance and Nevada, when you come to the reception, you will meet them, and they are the greatest fucking kids. They're the best. They're so well behaved. Like, well, they're 17 and 20 now, but it's like even when they were supposed to be little shits, they weren't little shits. They were fucking awesome, and they're so smart. Like Chance is like going into computer science, and Nevada's got accepted into college, and she was 16. It's like, yeah, dude, they're fucking great. And Nevada is still the most beautiful creature on this planet. She is gorgeous. And Chance is just the cutest. He's the man, dude. That dude is one of the top bowlers in Tennessee. Or Knoxville. He's so awesome. Oh, I love my kids. And then my other on the other side, they do plenty on that side too. Like my niece Ray graduated from Baylor with honors. So
Nice.
Lord.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. I've
I was
been
gonna
very
say,
lucky in the family part of my life. Very, very lucky.
I was gonna say, I just now recently have nieces and nephews because my brother and sister-in-law went into foster care so that they could finally start adopting kids.
Yeah.
And so they have two twins, brother and sister, both 15, but I won't say their names just for
Yeah.
privacy reasons and that.
Yeah.
But so
Everyone knows my nieces and nephews' names.
yeah, I think you've even posted pictures before, and
I
they're
have.
adorable.
Yeah.
But also because of the circumstances that they are in the foster care system, and they have very unique names, very unique. So, and being around this area, it's like they don't need that. But they're both 15, and he does football, and he's already 6'3". Like it's amazing being around him and being like, how are you this tall already and you're only 15? So I can just imagine how tall he's going to be. And the school is already thrilled by him. He's never played basketball a day in his life, but they're already trying to recruit him and try and get him to do basketball. It's like, all you got to do is just stand there and just kind of like toss the ball over. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Oh, you talk about unique names. My niece that I just mentioned, Ray, her name is not Ray. It's Ray Janae. So
Yeah.
like you don't,
There you
yeah, you don't like she's the only Ray Janae I know. So I'm like, so everyone just calls her Ray though. Her name's Ray Janae. I forget it's like I forget how to spell it. Like it's a crazy spelling. So yeah, it's Ray Janae. And then her brother's name is Robert. So it's like, all right.
one end of the spectrum to the normal, like average.
What is it? I'm gonna see if I can't do this. The 6 kids: David, Rejane, Robert, Liliana, Nolan, and the adopted one, Seth.
Oh, I
It-
love the name Liliana.
Yeah, Liliana is a thought, dude. She's so fucking cute. She's ridiculous. But I don't get to see her much. I think I've seen her 3 times ever in my life, and she's.
Do they call her Lily for short?
Yeah, they call her Lily. And it's like that's with his second wife, and he has 2 kids with his second wife, 2 kids with his first, and he adopted the second wife's son. So it's like, yeah, Seth he's the coolest. He's a cool kid. Robert's cool. Like they're all cool kids. Like I said, I'm very lucky in the family part. Like I haven't been lucky a lot in life, but I got a perfect mom and dad. I got like a great sister, a great brother, like a brother that is one of my absolute heroes. I love that guy. And like great nieces and nephews. So yeah, I've been very lucky in my life. I don't know my cousins well. I did, but they kind of disappeared once my uncle died. They were just like gone. It's like, okay.
I understand that feeling all too well. It's like after my dad had passed away, it's like for that first year after he passed away, you had that side of the family that they were close. They wanted to do this to help out, this and that. And then slowly you start seeing them drift away. And me and my husband had went to one of the cousins' weddings. And just the whole time, like I told him, I'm like, I feel like we're unwanted. And the whole thing just felt so pretentious and all about show. And it's like what me and my husband had realized, like at the end of it, was that they had one of those big things where you get the whole family together to do the grand family photo, and that they didn't come out to seek me or my brother and of course our spouses, and then lied to us later at the reception to tell us that they went to look for us when this was a huge temple. I'm not even joking. This was a temple wedding place. And at the front, there was a little nanny sitting area. So if your baby was fussy or that, you could come out and you could sit in these couches just outside of I don't even want to call it a service area, but I mean, thing was a temple. It was huge, but it had a TV. So when we walked out after the wedding had gotten done, we were in the middle of discussing like, hey, should we find one of our aunts, find out if they're doing the family photo? And my brother looks at the TV and he points at it and he goes, oh, well, it looks like they're all set up on the stage already and taking photos right now. And it's like, oh, that was so nice that they told us when we got here that they were going to do this like right away. And we know for a fact they didn't come look for us. But at the reception, they're like, yeah, we kept trying to find you, but we couldn't find you. We're like, you literally said right when the wedding stopped. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
Yeah. I mean, that's and like the weird part about that is like I don't even have that with my in-law or they're actually my soon to be in-laws but I call them my in-laws. But I don't even have that with them. Like, even though they kind of they don't really dislike me. They dislike the age gap between me and Michaela. And
Which
it's
most
like,
parents would. So
yeah, absolutely. And they don't dislike me at all. But like, even when we were dating, the first time I spent Christmas with them, I was in the family photos. Like, they were like, no, come on, let's join in with us, like, and they pray before like dinners and stuff. And they come on, join in, and I'm like, all right. And I'm invited to every function and everything like that. So it's like, even with that, like, even with those in-laws that don't even like me, they're still like, yeah, come on in, so I don't know. Maybe that's where all the luck in my life went. Like, I've had a rough life, and then
you've
all
had
the good
your
stuff.
downs.
Yes. Like, no, I don't know. But I'm still sitting here trying to find a way to make it spooky. It's like I can't think of it.
I don't think we really have a spooky one this time.
I mean,
Kind
you
of,
might have some for graveyards, but
well, yeah, but back on the travel
yeah.
stories, which also includes back to my dad's side of the family, where I don't know what happened when they all were younger in that, but my dad just always seemed to be the black sheep of the family.
Yes.
Like I said, I don't have a clue why or what happened. You're the black sheep of your family.
Black sheep.
Hey, my brother and I, neither one of us are, but then again, neither of us, like, I don't know, we were never exciting back in school. So
I mean, you kind of gotta understand what a black sheep is, because a lot of people think that black sheep is a member of the family that is shunned by the family. It's like, no, black sheep is the one that is completely different.
oh, well, then I would be the black sheep of my family.
Like,
At this point
for
in
example,
time, yes.
yeah, absolutely. For example, every single person in my family is an athlete. My dad played ball for UT. My mom was a star softball player. My sister was a star softball player. My brother played every fucking sport under the rainbow, and he was fantastic at it. And I didn't. Like, I was reading comic books. So it's like, I'm the black sheep, but my family still loves me and supports everything that I have. Like, so you can be a black sheep and still be supported. Like Michaela, she's completely black sheep in her family, like by far. And then her dad is the black sheep of his family. So it's like, it all works out. So yeah, you're the black sheep though.
Yeah, if we would go with technical terms, I
Yeah.
would be, because I go my own path. But so obviously, with that tension always there with that part of the family, my brother and I were never the favorite grandchildren.
Yeah.
And all the other grandkids were always favored, always. And my one aunt is incredibly rich, very smart, very intelligent with everything she does, gets the good job, she can travel. Well, she would love to spoil the grandkids because she didn't have her own kids, she wasn't married. And it started off where she kind of had tried taking me or my brother on trips and that kind of stuff. And I remember the one year, I think I was in first grade when she did this, was I got to go to Disney World for the first time. and she had taken me and one of my other cousins. And then I remembered in 5th grade she had done it again. And this probably was one of my favorite trips that I had ever taken, was that she took me and one of my other cousins with, and it was actually one of the cousins that were actually close to my age. And she took us to Disney World on Halloween. And of course, Halloween is the one time of the year they allow you to dress up while you're there at the park. And so, I mean, I love that trip and everything. And it's like, I can still remember after the trip that sitting at the kitchen table, making like these fancy handmade thank you letters that we would mail to my aunt, and that just how appreciative, tell her in person every time I'd see her. Well, we had noticed over time, she was still taking the other cousins on all these trips, but she wasn't taking me or my brother. And finally, years later, in high school, we kind of called her out on it. And because all of our other cousins, when they were graduating from high school, her graduation present to them was she'd let them pick where they wanted to travel to, and she would take them on a trip. So my one cousin got an all-paid trip to Spain. My other cousin got an all-paid trip to Mexico. Another one of my cousins, I think it was England. And my brother and I didn't get a trip. And so we finally call her out on it, and we're like, so, we've noticed this through our whole entire lives that you've been taking all the other cousins on trips. And I'm like, and then for graduation presents, you actually get them this kind of present. But she literally had the audacity to say that it was because we were unappreciative of the original time she'd taken us on trips. And being as young as what I was then, when it had hit me, it was like, and I kept trying to think, and it's like, I remember us telling her like all the time, like how much I love those trips. And me even saying like the few times that we went on the group family trips was like, those were some of my favorite memories. Because unfortunately, my dad was not good with money. So we hardly traveled at all. And if we did travel, it was within like our area. But so I was literally telling my aunt, like, these are some of my favorite memories of being able to actually go and do these things where my poor parents couldn't afford to do it. And it just was one of those weirdest things where it's just like something that was a beautiful memory to me before became a negative memory years later. And it's like, come to find out, it really had nothing to do with me and my brother. It had to do with the fact of whatever this family feud was with my dad. And shortly after he passed away, like I said, like it healed, it mended, we were all talking and good again. And probably me just, I guess, being the black sheep that I am, that I can stand on the outskirts and I'm just like, I just feel bullshit. And like I said, once it was at my cousin's wedding, I'm just like, I'm done. I'm totally done. Anything that, and of course, they're going to invite for family for holidays and that kind of stuff. And I'm always just like, you know what? No.
Yeah.
And what me and my husband do is we actually go spend it with his dad, who is alone and by himself since his mom passed away. So it's like, I would rather go spend my time with someone who wants me to be there just for my time and doesn't expect something out of me.
Yeah.
It's probably the best way I can put it. It doesn't expect anything out of me.
Exactly. Well, that's why you always want to spend time. Like I like spending time with people that want to spend time with me. I mean, it's great. I don't have many of those people, but I've said many times before, I'm the guy that doesn't get invited places. Like all my friends are hanging out with each other, and like I'm never invited to these places. Like hey, we're gonna go do this, and then I'm like, I like doing that, and they're just like, no, we're gonna go do it by ourselves. It's like, okay, like
well,
cool.
up yours too, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, and then it's like, and a lot of the times like I can't get people to go with me anywhere unless I buy their ticket for them. It's like, okay, cool, like, yeah, all right, cool, that's awesome. Hey, you want to hang out? No, I'm busy doing something. Okay, cool, thank you. Like, all right, cool. That's
You
always
know,
it's always been the way it
I
is.
was gonna say, how many times like
Mhm.
we were closer, just even closer. We would make time for each other to, especially to do couple things.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah,
but yeah, you hear me all the time with our buddies, and oh my God,
yeah.
my husband Nate even mentioned to me, he's like, can you imagine if DC and our friends Sean and Joel were all in a room together and just everything that they would come up with? And I'm like, I don't think anyone could handle it because it would be hilarious.
Yeah. Like it's like everyone's telling me and Jay to get like my friend Jason. We play video games together, and everyone's like, "Man, y'all need to get a Twitch." And it's like, no, we don't. Like we would get canceled so
Oh
very
well.
quickly.
Oh well.
Like we were talking about, like we're playing Aliens Fire Team Elite now. It's the Aliens game. There you go, and you kill xenomorphs. And like we're sitting here playing it and we're going on long rants. And he was like, you know what's really great? When the face hugger puts that thing down your throat, it reminds me of something. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's like, oh, he's like, you think they'll attach to, or I'm like, we're going and we're like shooting. I'm like, you think they ever attach to your butt? And I'm like, we would
Well,
get
they don't want to
canceled so
implant their
quick.
egg there.
Yeah, and that is the mildest form of things we say. Like we say so many horrible things. It's awful. So no,
Demonetized.
I mean the things that are said under your breath. So, and I mean Brandon got to listen in on one time because Brandon was he called me while I was playing, but like I couldn't get to his phone call, and it was like, okay. And then Jason just like patch him in, put him on a three-way call. All right, click, and we're playing the game, and Brandon's in there, and he was cracking up. He was like,
Oh,
"This is the greatest thing I've
I'm
ever heard."
sure.
I'm like, yeah, like you gotta get Aliens Fire Team Elite and join us. We can have 3 people. We only have 2. Like, and Laszlo doesn't own a PlayStation, so he's an Xbox guy. But yeah, that's okay. I'm pretty sure when they said they're remaking Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, they're like making it with HD graphics and everything like that. I'm like, yeah, then he will buy a PlayStation. He's like, oh yeah. I'm like, all right, cool, good on you. But I don't know. It's fun. That's fun times. But it's a fun game too. Well, it's not really fun. It's because it's fucking aggravating. We keep losing because we suck at video games. So we gotta find a way to
You
cheat.
know, sometimes that's the most entertaining though, is
Yeah.
just watching someone die over and over these tragic deaths,
Yeah.
especially if you get eaten by a xenomorph or
Yeah.
melted by them.
It's awful. Like we're like, we gotta find a way to cheat because that's what we do in GTA. We just cheat. Like, why not?
That never happens.
No. And like it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So I don't know. But yeah, and Brandon always invites me out places. Like we hang out whenever we can. It's just we're so busy, and it's Adrian's busy as hell. Laszlo's got a new job, so he's gonna be busy as hell. And it's like, I don't know if any of them are gonna go to that wrestling show with me, but Michaela is. And since I
Fingers
already have another
crossed.
ticket, if Adrian can't go or something like that to the other show, I'll just take Michaela. There you go.
Rope her in again.
Yeah, like I can imagine having the most beautiful woman in the room on my arm. Like, and if you've ever been to a wrestling show, you know how true that is. So,
Especially in the local area ones. But they're so much fun.
it's bad. Like okay. Whenever you go to these wrestling shows, there's no more than like 50 people there. It's most of the time it's more like 30, but there's never more than 50 people. It's not like you're going there with hundreds of people. And this is like of 30 people, maybe 3 of them are female. And then they are not the most attractive.
As nicely as possible saying they're not
Yeah. And it's like,
level.
I'm talking like I could count on my fingers how many teeth are in their head. Like it's bad. And it's like, so Michaela shows up and she's like
Look at my teeth.
easily the hottest person in there. Like, and it's great. It's and like, yeah, she's with me. Back off. So yes.
I mean, especially if you have her dressed to the nine.
Always in her goth outfits. If we go out, it's goth outfits. So she's like, I'm gonna wear my fishnets. Okay. Whatever. Yeah.
So I guess we could go into, well, see, it's just gonna be so weird with graveyard stories if they're just coming from me.
Like I'm sure I can come up with something. Like,
Oh, I'm sure it's you. You
Yeah.
you could come up with anything. But me at my old house, the one that I grew up in and that we lived out in the middle of nowhere in the country, but up the hill, only about like a quarter mile of the way from our house, was a cemetery. And so where was like one of the favorite places that me and my friends would want to go and hang out was always up at the cemetery. So
freaks.
my dad was really, really, really good at telling stories. And he would make up stories like out of nowhere. And there was one that was called The Woman with a Golden Arm.
Sounds like a Bond
I was
villain.
And I was debating on telling the story or not, but I mean, I can
You can tell the gist of it.
I can shorten it down. So basically, my dad's main story about this was because we'd always have big bonfires, and we tell ghost stories at the bonfire. Well, the one that my dad loved to tell was the woman with the golden arm. And he did. He made up. I don't even know where he came up with this story, but I
In
look back
noggin.
on it in his noggin.
In his noggin.
In his noggin. And so the whole premises of this was that there was this old spinster woman, but she was filthy rich, and nobody wanted to marry her or be with her. But when she got older, she had a farming accident and she had lost her arm. Well, with all of her riches and that, she had decided that she had cast a golden arm. Well, because of her finally flaunting her riches for the first time in her life, she finally attracted the attention of a young man. And he decided that he was going to make her his wife. And he's like, well, gee, she's pretty old. I can marry her. And then when she dies, I can have all her riches. Well, unbeknownst to him, after time passes and she does pass away and bury his wife and that, come to find out all of her riches was put into that arm and making that arm. So anything she had that was gold or of worth was put into that silly gold arm. Well, the guy's like, well, and of course, probably because of where we lived and the perfect setup, my dad would tell the story that it was the house at the bottom of the hill to a cemetery where the man decided, well, at night, I'm going to sneak up there. I'm going to dig up that body and I'm going to get that arm because I am owed that arm. That is my golden arm. So in the middle of the night, gets his lamp, gets a shovel, goes up there, digs up her grave and gets his golden arm, comes back, and all his excitement. Of course, he had the shovel in one hand and the golden arm in the other, and that was a heavy sucker. Totally forgot to get the lamp. So he looks up at the cemetery and he's like, ah, shit, that lamp is still up there. And he's like, I needed to get that lamp. And he's like, well, I'm gonna go put all this stuff away. And he goes, I need to hide this golden arm, and I'll go back up there and get the lamp. So hides the golden arm under the floorboards and whatnot. And as he's proceeding to go up to the cemetery and make his walk up there, he starts noticing, he goes, the lamp's moving. He's like, it's not in the same spot where it was before. And he's just standing there. And sure enough, he notices that the lamp is slowly making its way towards him down the hill. And he starts freaking out. He goes, "Oh God, someone knew it was me. Someone must have been there. Somebody must have overseen what I did." Because he's like, they're coming my way. And he's watching this lamp slowly making its way until it starts. All of a sudden, he starts realizing, like, at some point, because he's in panic mode. He's like, what do I do? What do I tell him? He's like, I know I recovered the grave and that maybe I can fake it out and let him know that I just missed my wife and I wanted to visit her grave. And he's like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I can fake them out. All of a sudden he starts realizing, as it starts getting closer, he can hear this haunting voice of a woman basically just saying, "Who's got my golden arm? Who's got my golden arm?" All of a sudden, he's just freaking out, like, "Oh my God, oh my God." Obviously, the story proceeds to where he goes into hiding and he hides up in the house, like, "Oh my God, it's her. She's come back. She's coming to get me." And of course, picture a 40-year-old man with a group of teenagers all surrounding him, and my dad with this silly ass voice, "Who's got my golden arm?" So to this day, obviously my friends will still bring up that silly ass story.
Ah, jeez. No. No.
Obviously, he met his demise from his dead wife.
Yeah. It was just, oh, no, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't even have like ghost stories. That's what's sad. Is like everyone has ghost stories. I don't even have that because I never went to camp or had anyone telling me ghost stories. Like that's my ghost stories were Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and all that. That's where all my ghost stories were. Yeah, so I got to do that. I mean, I read that Scary Stories to Still Tell in the Dark. I still have my copy too of the ones that I took from the library. And
Oopsie.
yeah, oh
I
no, I
think
took
I
them from the
did
library.
those too.
This is actually what happened. Like I didn't steal them. I took them from the library, and when I brought them back, I was like, I had them for a week, and I was like, oh, here you go. And they were just like, no, you can keep those. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, they've been banned from the library, so you can have them.
Oh,
And I'm like,
well,
what? And it's like I was
I didn't think
very
they were that
young.
bad.
No, it's the art. The art in there. She said the art was too gross and disgusting and horrifying, so they decided to ban them from the library. They were banned from most children's libraries in school for years. They only just in the last few years got added back into the library. So yeah,
I definitely know I have the exact same book because I remember the
got all
pictures and
three
the
of them.
art and everything.
Yeah, I've got all
So
three. Yes.
I
Yes.
have volume 1. I think
Yeah.
it's volume 1.
Yeah. It's scary stories to tell in the dark, more scary stories to tell in the dark, and even more scary stories to tell in the dark.
Yeah, I have the first one.
Yeah. It's like I had those and I would check out the Fear Streets and the Goosebumps and all that stuff.
Yep.
And it was like, yeah, I mean, that's cool. Like, I mean, I graduated to Stephen King rather quickly. I was like, I think 13 years old. Just passed by this book in the library at the real library, the Knoxville library, not my school library, and black cover, a little storm drain with a little paper boat and a arm coming out, and I'm like, I have to know what this is, and it just said it, and I'm like, I have to know what it is, and I like picked the book up, and I was like, oh shit, because that book is like that thick. It's like
It's huge.
1,200 pages or something like that. And when I checked it out, the woman was like, I can't check this book out to you. like this is an
Oh.
adult book. And like my mom was like, no, just let him get it. He'll read the first 2 chapters and he'll stop reading it. And I consumed that book in about 5 days. just bam, because it was summer vacation. And they were like, and I went back to school and everyone was like, oh, what books did you read on your summer vacation? All the other kids were like, what are you talking about, books? And I'm like, it. And they're like,
Read it.
and everybody, the ladies just, what do you, what the fuck is it? I'm like, it, Stephen King's It. And she's like, your parents let you read that? Like, yeah. It's like my mom was just happy I was reading. Like, it's great. Like, she was like, if you like that, you should try this book. It's called Jurassic Park. I'm like, that is nothing like this
Nice.
book, Mom. Like,
Nothing.
yeah. So she's like, yeah. But I remember when after reading it was so funny because we were out at a grocery store and I saw the name Stephen King on a book. I'm like, oh, it's him. And it was The Green Mile Part 1. And I was like, why is it so small? And like, and she's like, it's a serial book. They'll bring out a one each week. And it's, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I read this. So the second book I ever read from Stephen King was A Green Mile. And it was like, I had the Stephen King bug. And then my mom was like, this dude has like 50 books. And I'm like, bullshit. Like, no way. And we went to the library and she's like, look in the K's in the library. And it was just like row after row after row after row. And for years, I checked out nothing but Stephen King. And I still have, I now own all the books, but it was like I have literally read every single Stephen King novel and short story and even his on writing and everything like that. Like I just consumed Stephen King. So I was like, hell yeah. That was my ghost story. Like, and weirdly enough, none of them ever gave me nightmares except Gerald's Game. Gerald's Game gave me nightmares. I have
That's
no clue
like
why.
a realistic thing that could possibly happen that
Yes.
would really suck.
It was that one got me. And Dreamcatcher too. A lot of people sleep on Dreamcatcher. Like, Dreamcatcher was a good book.
I love
Um
Dreamcatcher.
yeah,
I love the
and
movie too. That's one of the few where I love the book and I love the movie.
yeah, I like the movie too. It was like completely different experiences.
Mhm.
But it was like I got that. And the weirdest part about my Stephen King thing is like I didn't read The Shining until I was well into my 20s because I'd seen the movie. I was like, oh, I saw the movie, but around the time that I was in my late teens, that's when, like, here's how old I am. That's when the internet was really a thing. Like, the internet wasn't a thing when I was a kid. And like the internet became your source of knowledge. And is like, I didn't learn that Stephen King hated Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Like, I didn't learn about that till I was in my 20s. And I'm like, oh, well, I thought I saw the movie, therefore I've read the book. And I was like, I've
The book's
seen
different.
Kubrick's The Shining. I'm like, yeah, it's good. It wasn't really scary necessarily, but it was a good, pretty movie. And then I read the book and I'm like, I can see why he hated Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, because Stanley Kubrick took that book and pissed all over it. Like, it is not even close. Still, great movie.
So in
But the
other
book,
words, I should read the book before I watch the movie.
I would watch the movie first, because
Okay.
the book is immensely better. Like, it is much more intense, much scarier. It's just better. Like, it's so good. But The Shining's good too. And like, I like the book a little better, so I read that and that was awesome. And so yeah, so my scary stories as a teen were Clive Barker, Stephen King,
Oh,
and Anne Rice.
substantial novels. Oh, Anne Rice, she's
Yes.
so good though.
Yes.
Oh, it's so sexy though too.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you be scared when you're like, I'm like, why am I oddly turned on while they're
I mean, it never turned me on, but whatever. Like, I just like, because I just loved Lestat. Lestat was my dude. Like, he like, Tom Cruise played him well, but it was like Lestat was a little different in the books. He was much more charismatic, and Lou was different too. Brad Pitt's character, he was much
Yes.
different in the books, or in the two he was in, 2 or 3,
Well,
I can't remember.
At the time period when they first made the films, they really couldn't talk about the fact that Lestat was bisexual,
Yeah.
because that wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah.
So they focused more, but technically Lou and Lestat was kind of an odd love story. But of course, in the movie, you don't get that. So
It's Lewis, but I call him Lou. But I'm like, it's Lewis, whatever. It's Lou. No, yeah, and it was like, but the thing was like, I that was another one I consumed very quickly. It was Interview with the Vampire, Queen of the Damned, all the way up to Mimnock the Devil, and then after Mimnock the Devil, it was just like, this isn't as good as it used to be. And then Merrick came out, and I'm like, this is really bad. Like, what the happened? And it turns out Anne Rice found Christianity. So she didn't write the same way anymore. She wasn't as violent. She definitely wasn't as homoerotic anymore. And it was just like, it was just not the same. And it's like, and people have been saying, like, well, Prince Lestat's out now. That's her new one. It's like, well, there's several new ones, but Prince Lestat was the first one. Like, oh, it's Anne Rice returning to form. And it's like, no, it's not. Prince Lestat is not Interview with the Vampire. Prince Lestat is not even close. I was like, Interview with the Vampire is a masterpiece. And they just, not for me. And so I did that. And Clive Barker. And if you want sexy, Clive Barker is where to go. Yes. Clive Barker writes some fucking phenomenal books. Like, God, that dude is awesome. I love Clive Barker. Like, yeah, so yeah, that's my ghost stories. It's like, yeah, but I never really got scared. I was like, I just love them. Now I'm 38 years old and I'm finding new people to read. And I'm like, I've never heard of Riley Sager until this year. And I'm like, holy shit, this dude's a great writer.
And then you have so many books to back rate on too. So
I am flying through. I only have three more of his books to read, and I'm done with Riley Sager. Like, I have whipped through all of his books. They're so damn good. And Grady Hendrix, like, I didn't know who Grady Hendrix was until Final Girl Support Group came out, and no one ever told me. I don't have any friends that read, so unless I see someone talking about books, I don't know who these people are. And
I feel bad because it's like I used to have time to read.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I should just an hour before I go to sleep, just get out a book and do that.
Yeah, that's what I do. And like, the Riley Sager, holy shit. Like, he's getting up there with Stephen King and Joe Hill. Like, he's getting up there.
Which is good.
Yeah.
We need people to replace and take over, and because you know, if we have a whole entire generation where we're not going to have any good writing, that means the death of writing, and I don't want that. We need
and like Anne Rice, like, because a lot of people, like, they talk about their favorite authors and everything like that, and it's like, oh yeah, and they're always male, and I'm like, no man, you got to get into some females, man. Like, you got Anne Rice, Leanne Moriarty, Ruth Ware. Like, there's some really good mystery and horror female writers. Gillian Flynn. Unfortunately, Gillian Flynn doesn't write anymore. Gillian Flynn.
I was thinking I haven't seen anything recent from her. So
she wrote 3 books and she was done. She did Gone Girl, Sharp Objects, and I actually forgot what the other one's called. But what happened was Gone Girl got bought so it can be turned into a movie, and she didn't let him have it unless she could write the movie. She wanted to write her own, like, a movie version of it, and that's what she did. And she got nominated for a fucking Oscar. So she was like, I'm just gonna write my books into screenplays, and now that's what she does. She writes screenplays. And so a lot of books, or a lot of things out now, she actually wrote. And then Leanne Moriarty, I swear HBO owns her, because there's a new one out with Nicole Kidman, 4 Strangers or something like that. And and of course Little Big Lies was all her.
I remember that too.
Yes. So it was like, that's Leanne Moriarty. She is fantastic. Oh, and Paula Hawkins. Paula Hawkins did Girl on a Train and shit like that. And I'm like, I read a lot. Like, I'm just like, I could go on and on about books, because I don't
That's
get to
why I think
talk
it's
about
silly
it.
if you say you don't know ghost stories. You know all the ghost
Yeah.
stories.
Well, I know them like as books, but oh man, and people watching this, My Heart is a Chainsaw, fucking pick that shit up. That was fantastic. I'm talking to you too, Charcy. Almost called you by your real name.
You know what? If it happens one of these days,
Yeah.
we're gonna see how many people even comment on it and bring it up because we're averaging about 40 to 50 watchers, and
Yeah.
you are the people we appreciate. And thank you for spending your time with us, and we love you.
But, dude, I can sell you on, sorry, my scissors fell out. I can sell you on My Heart is a
Are
Chainsaw.
you gonna come
My
after
heart,
me?
oh my god. Okay, so My Heart is a Chainsaw is the guy who wrote The Only Good Indians. He is a Blackfeet Indian. He mainly writes about Indians. But My Heart is a Chainsaw, you got to think. Let's take you, me, T. Carter, Patrick. Actually, do this. Think of all the horror people in our community, all of them.
Okay.
Combine them into one person, and that is his character Jade in My Heart is a Chainsaw. This girl throughout the entire
Personalities?
huh?
Is he multiple personalities?
No. She is one person, but her horror knowledge and everything. I have never connected more with a character in my life because
Oh, okay.
she's shunned. She doesn't have any friends. No one likes her. She has and all she ever talks about is horror movies. And throughout the entire book, she has things where she mentions horror. Like she's like, she's like, oh, this is just like in Night of the Living Dead. And then she'll mention something. And between each chapter, there is I'm not going to go into it because it's not really a spoiler, but like she has a thing called Slasher 101, where she's writing a paper to her English professor because she's failing the class, and he's letting her write a paper on horror movies, and it's her paper. And it's explaining how a slasher works, Final Girls, the slasher, the comeback at the end, the everything. And it's like explaining. And so but you read this 101, and throughout the book, people are dying, and it's just like a slasher movie. And she's like, no, there's a slasher. There has to be a slasher. And I guarantee you it's this guy because that's the way it works. And she's like living it like a movie. And the whole thing reads like an 80s slasher. And it's a brilliant book. And I went through it in about 3 days. I was just like, it was so damn good. So highly recommend it. My Heart is a Chainsaw. Very cool.
I'll pick it up and find some free time. I'm just gonna have to
Make the time.
Instead of me doing my usual of when I relax before bed, it's me sitting there watching YouTube videos and other things. But
that's like an hour and a half, and that would be like 2 chapters. There's some chapters in this book.
I am a slow reader.
There's some chapters in this book that are really long. Like, I mean, really long. Like, I'm talking like at least 20 to 30 pages. I'm like, shit. Can we get done with this chapter? Because I cannot quit reading until I'm done with the chapter. I can't just stop in the middle of the chapter. Like I can't do that. And that's and with Riley Sager, that is an absolute issue because at the end of every one of his chapters is a cliffhanger, and you want to know what happens next. And it's like, fuck.
I was just about to say, I'm like, I've kind of learned, especially when I'm doing like the murder mysteries and those kind of books, I would purposely stop in the middle of a chapter where nothing's going on because you end on a cliffhanger in every chapter. It's like, oh, I can fit in one more chapter. Oh, one more chapter.
Riley Sager's a jerk in his writing because he'll finish a chapter on a cliffhanger, and he always has a little story between each chapter. Like in the book I'm reading now, it's a girl's in the hospital, and she's explaining throughout this whole thing, like, oh man, I just had to escape that place. And she's explaining more and more why she had to escape this hotel or this apartment complex. But the main story is her living in the apartment complex, and more weird crap happens as the story progresses. But then you stop in between the chapters with her being like, yeah, and then the really weird thing happened, and you're like, fuck you, Riley Sager. like it's great. Luckily the chapters are short.
In the weird real.
Yes. It's so good. It's called Lock Every Door. It's so far that's the best Riley Sager book I've read. Yeah, Lock Every Door. I was like, oh man, so good. I love it. I like books. I like books more than movies, and that's sad.
Anything with a creepy hotel.
Think your camera just died.
Yeah.
It did. No, it's back.
No, you froze on my end again.
How dare
Oh,
you?
my camera might be in the process of dying, so that it's probably giving the warning.
Yeah, how dare you? Yeah. Oh,
That
hey,
probably means we've been filming for quite some time then.
there it is though. There's my graveyard story. I did used to live near a graveyard, and I would go to the graveyard to read because it's the only place I could get an ounce of fucking silence. That was it. Oh, and I learned to drive in a graveyard. Learned to drive on the road around the graveyard, and my mom taught me how to drive. And I was like, Mom, why are you teaching me how to drive in the graveyard? Because if you hit somebody, they're already dead. Like,
Oh,
good point, Mom. Yeah.
good point, Mom.
Good point, Mom. My mom had a very dark sense of humor like me. So,
And we love dark senses of humor.
yeah, she was very like, she told about her hitting a dog. It's very sad, but she hit a dog once. I'll just tell the story when she tells it. She was like, yes, we were driving home. She got home and she was like, oh, this horrible thing happened on the way home, Darren. Sorry, that's my real name. But she was like, like we got home, and on the way home, this dog darted out in front of my car. I nailed it. I didn't go under the wheel. I hit it and it ran off. But I know it was hurt because it was limping, but it went straight to this house, straight to this backyard. And I knocked on the door. I said, sir, I just hit your dog. That they had to be yours. He's like, oh, there's a lot of dogs in the neighborhood. Can you tell me what he looked like? She said, oh my God, damn it, Mom.
She tells the story. Oh my God.
Yeah, I was like, God, Mom. But that's the kind of shit she would tell. She would tell fucking horrible jokes.
I was asking a dumb question because did he have a dog or not?
No, she didn't even hit a dog. It was a joke.
Oh,
She told
she was
this
just
whole
telling
story
the
to set up
joke.
a joke.
Oh, geez.
Thanks, Mom. So I was like, yeah, but it was like, oh my God. I was like, she
Ah.
always said, I could have made that joke a lot worse and had it go under the tire and say, what does my dog look like? I could have went. I'm like, yeah, good idea, Mom.
Flat.
Flat, furry.
Well, that could be a good place to end it with our little your mom's wonderful joke.
My mom was horrible. I'm like, Mom, why would you do that? You know I love dogs. He was like, yeah, but it's funny. Yeah, it is. I'll give you that. It's funny. But I don't know.
Like the Boondock Saints with the cat.
Yeah.
Is it dead?
Yes.
I hate those kinds of scenes in movies, but that is the one movie when that scene happens, I lose my shit and I laugh.
Yeah.
Is it dead?
Or fucking Pet Cemetery, or even Boondock Saints when there's a lot of cat death in movies. Like there's like a Boondock Saints when he's playing with the gun and he slams it on the table and you just see a red splat on the wall and he's like, was that the fucking cat? It's like,
No, that's not what he says. They freak out.
Yeah.
Because he's angry because they're talking about something. Oh, because they had set him up that he was gonna die.
Yeah.
So he's basically spewing that he's gonna get even with them, and he slams his hands down and hits the gun and it shoots the cat, and all you see is the poor splat on the wall. And they all three freak out and they're all standing there, and you have Rocco and he's like, is it dead?
Yeah. Yeah. Rocco. Oh yeah, that leads to the fuck thing. The fucking fuck motherfucking. Well, that certainly illustrates the diversity of the word. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not the biggest fan of Boondock Saints, but it had some good one-liners.
I love Boondock Saints.
Yeah, I'm like, it
I
was
grew up
it's
with that in high
it's so it's
school.
overrated. It's just like it's overrated. It is not the masterpiece everyone says it is. You got to look at the acting of that movie. It's not great, but however, it
Look
does have Willem
who
Dafoe in
you
it.
are talking to.
Yeah,
What are my favorite films?
I know. But it does have Willem Dafoe in it, and I love Willem Dafoe. So
Mhm.
he's
There you
one of
go.
my favorites. Like the
Come on. Come
Lighthouse
on, William
all the way.
Defoe.
Yes.
And then there was a firefight.
Fight. That's so good. It was one guy jumping on his head. So you had a really big guy jumping on his head. Okay.
Mhm.
Coffee. So good. Yeah. I wonder, is he supposed to be in the new Spider-Man? I can't remember. I hope so.
You know, that's the rumor. They haven't released it yet. But
Yeah.
the rumor is that he supposedly just showed up on set and they gave him the part.
No good. It's
We don't know
deserved.
yet.
And I
I
wish that
know.
would have happened to Lawrence Fishburne in the Matrix, whatever the fuck name of the Matrix is. Resurrections. Yeah. Because Lawrence Fishburne is not in the new Matrix. And it's fucking angers me. But whatever.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, the dude in I hope they explain it because they're gonna need to. The dude in the Matrix Resurrections that looks like Morpheus is Morpheus's son, and that's not a spoiler. It's if you played the Matrix MMO, Morpheus dies in the Matrix MMO, but he dies after he has a child with Jada Pinkett Smith's character. And the guy in the movie is that kid because in the Matrix thing, the video games are canon. So good job.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I can agree with
It's
But
stupid knowledge.
that's your noggin. That's why when you keep telling me you didn't have ghost stories and that, I'm like, I'm sure we can pick something out of you.
I'm sure I could come up with one. I have like 9 fucking stories rolling around in my head, but I don't
Let's just
have the
make
time
some
or the
up.
patience to write them down. So
Maybe that's what we'll do.
I was almost suspended from school once because of writing. It's my creative writing class. I wrote a story called Blood, and it was just about a dude who wakes up covered in blood with a dead body in his apartment that is not his. He has no idea where he is or what happened. Yeah, I don't have it anymore, but at the end of it, he gets out of the apartment and walks and tries to sneak out, but the doorman stops him and asks him what he's doing. And he's like, I'm just trying. He's like, well, you should probably put on shoes. And he looks down and he's not covered in blood anymore. And he's like, what the fuck just happened? He goes up to his apartment, nothing there, no blood, nothing. And it's like, that was the end of the story.
But yeah, you got in trouble for that? Oh,
I got in trouble because of the violence, because of the dead body. And I'm like,
but once they get to the end of the story, it never happened. It was all in his head.
yeah. Oh, the creative writing teacher loved it. She was like, you've got to finish this. And I'm like, I will one day, and I've never finished it. I'm just
No.
like, I don't, I have so much more in my head that like I can't even, I mean, I could,
That's
if I
the
could
goal.
tell a person who writes books, they could take it and make it into something. So
Or like I said, that's the goal. Maybe that's one of the things we'll turn this into. Maybe it'll be us telling our own internal, because you know me, how many times I've started books and then never finished them.
Yeah.
So
I've never even started one. I've started them. Yeah.
I've started a lot. I had one book that I had halfway done, and it was about vampires. And the whole idea on the premises was that it was supposed to be they were created to be warriors for the city of Atlantis, and that the vampires ended up being the downfall of them. Well, while I was writing this book and so proud of myself, I discovered another writer. I can't think of her name now. I think it's Lindsay Sands or something like that. Yeah, I think it's Lindsay Sands. But she was a romantic vampire writer in her books. And that's because a friend, when I was talking about the premises of my book, she goes, that idea is already out there. And sure enough, her vampires were supposed to be created from Atlantis. And I'm like, ah, hers, of course, are supposed to be like sexy, nice vampires, where mine were very violent, brutal warriors. So I'm like, maybe I could still finish that idea. But I
Yeah.
was so pissed. I was
Well,
so
yeah.
pissed.
Like, just because it has the same premise doesn't mean anything. Because like I'm
I thought it
sure
was so creative.
I'm sure that some of my stories in my head definitely have the same premise of some other movie. And it's
Yeah.
like, or show or book or whatever. And it's like, because I mean, I've always like, my friend keeps telling me that I should make them into screenplays, not books. And I'm like, why? And he's like, because
That's where the money
honestly, the
is.
book is dying. It's like, and movies are becoming, movies and shows are the new thing. And I'm like, that is false. I know for a fact books aren't dying because they sell very well in a digital form.
Mhm.
And I was like, he was like, well, more people will watch shows and movies now because that's the world we live in. And I'm like, that's probably true. Yeah. Like,
You're
no one
right.
watches TV anymore, and that's a fact. Like,
They stream.
there was a TikTok video of a girl in Target, and she passes by this shirt and she says, "What is MTV?" And she has no idea what MTV is. And in the comments, people are just making fun of her. And I'm like, she's
That's what
Gen
this generation
X.
is.
Yeah, she's like,
Yeah.
she's Gen X. She probably hasn't ever turned on a TV on cable. She probably turns on her streaming service and she's done, because that's what this world is now. It's digital. I mean, VHS gave way to DVD. DVD gave way to Blu-ray. Blu-ray is starting to give way to 4K. And now movies are
Now
giving
we're going
way
to
digital
streaming.
streaming services. And that's the way it is. Do I prefer physical media, but this is not the world we live in. We live in a world that is all digital. Nothing wrong with it.
It'll make a comeback. It'll be like the records.
Yeah,
It'll be
like these nice little cassette tapes I have that are on eBay right now for $800.
ouch. Ouch.
What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11. There are 11 of these, excuse me, of these tapes. I got the hiccups. 11 of these tapes are going for $800. It doesn't make any sense. Not a lick of sense. They're cassette
eBay, it's
tapes.
fun.
Ugh.
Oh, well, DC. Who knows how much longer my camera's got? Because, you
Yeah.
know, it's high tech as my camera is supposed to be. It does not have a long battery at all. See,
I
my
can't do
face
the
can do
other
weird
one.
things too.
I
I
can't
can't
do
either. I can only do one side.
Yeah.
I can't do the rock thing. I can't
Yeah.
dare.
I can do the rock. I just can't do it with the other side.
I can do
Can you
this side, but
smell
I
what the rock
can't
is
do
cooking?
this side.
Yeah. I can do the full on. I can do this. And if I could do it with the other one, it would be fantastic because it'd be a great Jack Nicholson. But I can't.
Mhm.
Oh, well.
Well, thank you for joining DC and I on, I guess we'll start dubbing them like ghost stories and horror chats and all the randomness that we have, because we love going on our tangents, and you know what? We're going to keep doing it. So
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's nothing scary this time because DC has never been scared. So this is, I mean, I've been scared, but like it's never been frightened by anything that couldn't be explained with science.
brave little DC.
Not brave, stupid. There is a very thin line between the two. Like I hear a sound, a spooky sound, and I walk towards it. That is stupidity. That is not bravery.
One of those days, it's going to be something not so good for you.
It's gonna be Pyramid Head waiting on me.
Woo-wee. Well, it's just going to rip off your skin suit. That's all.
I can live without my skin. My skin isn't very great anyway. It's just pale and awful. Although I will miss the art.
Mhm.
So.
Mhm. Well, thank you for joining us on A Little Channel of Horrors. You can find me on my Twitter for Charcy Lex or my Instagram for Charcy87. For DC, you can find him on his Twitter for Death Curse Pod. He doesn't really do his Instagram, but he's sometimes on there for Death Curse Podcast. Yeah, that one's actually
No idea.
podcast. And
That's
your
about to get
TikTok, which-
deleted because I never use it.
delete it.
Yes. Delete,
But-
delete.
God. But thank you for joining us again. And we're probably going to be posting this on Saturday. So happy Saturday and enjoy the rest of your day.
Absolutely. Oh, they put the button back where it was.
DC